Good morning. This is Wednesday, March 27th. This is the weekly JupyterLab community call. My name is Eric Gentry. I'll be hosting. And let's see, what do we have on the agenda today? We have about 7 people here. It doesn't look like there's anything on the agenda yet, but a few people are joining, so we'll give it a minute.
Looks like we have 6 pull requests that need review. If anybody wants to take a look at those, I could put those on the agenda. Although I see other people are now adding things to the agenda.
Yeah, we've got a few items coming on. All right, we'll start with the first one, Jupyter Open Studio Day. Whose item is that?
I'm gonna guess it's Ely because it's got Bloomberg on it, and they were asking about it before.
Yeah.
There you are.
Zoom did not want to let me turn my microphone on. Yeah. Hi, everyone. I guess given the small size here, I'll probably announce this again at next week's meeting, but and I plan to go around to several other meetings to make this announcement. Bloomberg is hosting another Open Studio Day in New York City on Monday, April 29th. We've got some folks flying over from Europe to attend, and I'll be there. I'm very excited for this one. I think looking around at this crew, you all know about Open Studio Days and what to expect. So I won't take any more time for now, and I'll make a longer announcement next time.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ely. Anybody have any comments?
I was just about to say, I don't have experience with an Open Studio Day, so if you want to give a quick plug on the record.
Totally, yes. And I posted in the discourse about this as well. So this is a very informally run chance for the community to come together to work on whatever, literally anything Jupyter related that you're interested in, meet folks face to face, get some time together face to face, do brainstorming about the future of Jupyter. I know that a lot of really exciting developments have come out of conversations that happened at these in the past. And yeah, we've hosted them in San Francisco, London, and New York. And yeah, there's more to come in other cities, well, in those cities as well. But for anyone who's able to get to the New York area, this one is going to be very exciting.
Thank you, Ely. Is it Ely? Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Cool. All right, it looks like Mike is next up.
All right, so JupyterLab 4.2 alpha tool has been released, and we are very nearly to the feature freeze date, which is end of today. And this means that any pull request which is targeting JupyterLab 4.2 that implements a new feature and gets it undrafted by the end of the day anywhere in the world will be reviewed and hopefully included in 4.2 release. But after that date, we'll be only focusing on polishing this release and, of course, accepting all bug fixes and PRs which correct API if we merged any change that we shouldn't have. I want to highlight that there is a number of very interesting user-facing changes already merged. So there is Workspaces UI, there is a pull request which adds recently opened and closed files and a model to quickly navigate to those. There are some changes to the kernel tree in the sidebar. There is not so much user facing, but a big pull request which allows to swap the cell executor. So that one was not released yet. It was just merged yesterday. And there are many improvements to the windowing mode, which I hope we can make a default in that release. But that's, of course, depending on what the beta testing will show and what feedback we receive. So yeah, I do recommend that if you are a user or you know users, to let them know once the beta is out that there are some cool new features to test or to generally look how it feels. And if they encounter any issues, please point them to the issues page. I have one point, which is question about pull request, which does rather substantial refactor to the shortcuts UI package. So basically, when you go to the settings editor and open keyboard shortcuts, there is a table with a list of shortcuts, but there were many issues because it was kind of added in a pull request, which was adding the settings UI, and it was already large. And I guess the review of the package, like the third-party extension from which it was being pulled, was not as thorough as maybe we should have done that. That's a disadvantage of having very large pull requests. And unfortunately, this pull request is rather large, but this is because it makes a lot of improvements to how the package is structured, how the components are typed, and corrects many of these issues. So Frederick, who is not on the call, suggested that we bump the major version of that package. And the question is, does anyone have objections towards this proposal? Okay, so please do comment on the pull request. While it is approved, if you want to test it, I will wait a little bit with merging that. But probably my answer will be, let's track any following issues, any rough edges in new issues, because that pull request is already big. So yeah, I would prefer to merge and iterate on that one. That's it from me.
Could you say again the reasons for bumping the major to a major version?
So from my standpoint, we don't really have to do that because the changes are mostly in the extension, and the API surface is rather small, if any. So how we define the API surface, it is, I guess, things which are exported from the index, and things like CSS variable names, so that themes are not broken. And there are no major changes to the variables and the theming. All of that should work. There are changes to the internals of how the components, what properties, props they get, the React components, and the entire top level shortcuts UI got reworked. So the shortcut UI React component got reworked. Now, if someone did import from the lib, which is not the public API, and they upgrade to the new maintainer version, they would be hit because that would no longer work. So it's kind of us going an extra mile and increasing the major version of that package to cater to anyone who was reusing these components even though they were not public API, at least in my view. The counter argument would be that the version of the package would be slightly misaligned with other packages, but we already have a few cases like that, so I don't think that's a strong counter argument.
Yeah, I think it's fine to let packages use evolve at their own speed if needed. But I was just wondering for an extension author, like what the implications would be. Looking at the diff on the PR, it looks like some the tokens, for example, changed slightly, right? Like the composite read-only attribute. Could that mean that someone using that in extension may be affected?
So you're referring to the setting registry, right?
Yes.
So that one is actually just a quality of life improvement because the type is a default one, which is being set, and it is being set to the same value that it was before. So I believe that it is completely backwards compatible. I can remove that and add typecasting on every step. It is just that the major part of this pull request is fixing issues which arose because we were not using proper typing. And
Yeah.
I'd prefer to keep that one, but I'm happy to go either way.
Yeah, I was just trying to see if that could, if someone could potentially be, not annoyed, but like affected by a change like this if they upgrade. I guess we could also test with an existing extension using some of these APIs and see if that still works as expected or still compiles as expected.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can always change things and revert. We are just entering beta, so.
And bumping the version, that means going to 5 dot something, right, on the package? For the version of the package?
Let me check. So
Yeah.
that would probably only affect the shortcuts extension package,
Okay.
and it's currently at 4.20 alpha.2 and would probably go to 5.0 alpha.2.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Yeah. Last time we had to bump major versions, the script for bumping was, I think, bumped everything. So, but I think it's fixed now. So I think there is a script in the build duties somewhere in the repo that lets us bump a package because it also takes into account other packages that may depend on that one. I think there is some logic like that. So hopefully we only need to bump one package, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so the implication is, I guess, not for extension authors who might be affected is people like you who are rebuilding the application, remixing that, like building a new application using the extension components because they will need to change one version that differently. But and they might be confused why there is no 4.2. So just slight annoyance for notebook and slight annoyance for, I don't know, I guess Voila doesn't use that extension, but a few other applications which remix the JupyterLab components.
Okay, that's good. That means it doesn't have too many side effects then. It's not like we were bumping one of the core packages. Okay.
Okay, does anybody have anything else to add before we move on? All right, I think, Jason, if you don't have any objections, I might move on to Jeremy. I think he's just got 2 bullet points.
Oh, no problem. Yeah. Mine was more informative than urgent.
Cool. Jeremy?
Yeah, mine is also pretty quick. It's just an announcement that the JupyterLite 0.3 version is out now, and that's the version based on JupyterLab 4.1 and Notebook 7.1. So yeah, it's released, and we are doing a bunch of other updates on the related packages. Also, the PyDide kernel was updated today.
Great.
That's it. Yeah. So I mean, if you need, we were talking about having some kind of demo JupyterLite somewhere for like showcasing the new features in JupyterLab 4.1 and 7.1. So we could use this, but not everything is there. So I think we're still missing the plugin manager in Lite. So I haven't looked at how we could use at least one part of it, because it has some logic on the backend to enable and manage the plugins, but we don't have anything like this in Lite. So yeah, so for now it's postponed. Might be coming later. But yeah, but the inline compiler thing could be quite interesting to play with in JupyterLite and see if there is some exception we could build to demo that as well. Okay, that's all I have. I think you're muted, Eric.
I am muted. I think the only person we have left, actually, I think there's something in the comments. Tony, did you have something?
We can't hear you, Tony, but the comment was about open accessibility issues from GCHQ for this milestone, which Mike responded to, referencing pull request 15.623, which has been, this particular one was opened on January 9th. And has some comments on it. I'm taking a look at accessibility, and it covers some number of pull requests. How many?
I think that looking for the tag I just did that doesn't do it justice. I'm just trying to tag this pull request with accessibility because I
Okay.
didn't have that tag frequently.
Yeah, as of the last time I queried it, there are 7 items that have the accessibility tag that are open pull requests. Of those, 2 are drafts.
I'm posting in a chat the link to the accessibility meeting notes, and there is, if I can find the chat button, and there is a list there of their open PRs.
Oh, thank you, Ely.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments? It looks like there are some meeting notes going in about this topic as well, so you can refer to those. And great. Looks like the last person we have is Jason W. Jason, you want to go ahead?
Oh yeah. So I just wanted to call attention to there are currently 6 pull requests that are tagged with needs review. We periodically look at those. Looks like the oldest one is from last June, and the newest one is from 5 days ago about the Shortcuts UI refactor, which we talked about earlier in this meeting. So I'm not sure what the next step is on that. Other than please review if you haven't already.
All right, any additional comments there? Would anybody like to say anything on the record before we end the recording? All right, brace yourselves. Stopping the recording.